The morning sun cast long shadows across Unity Base as Captain Hyunwoo Park sipped his coffee and watched Earth turn slowly below. The orbital defense station had been his home for 3 years now, and he never got tired of the view. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents. It was beautiful and peaceful. He had no idea this would be the last peaceful morning Earth would see for a very long time. The first warning came from the deep space sensors at exactly 0800 hours. Ensign Boram Seo, barely 22 and fresh from the academy, was monitoring the long-range detection grid when her screen lit up like a Christmas tree. "Sir," she called out, her voice shaking slightly. "I'm getting massive readings from the outer system. Multiple contacts, very large." Hyunwoo set down his coffee and walked over to her station. The numbers on the screen made his blood run cold. 50 contacts, then 100, then 200. The count kept climbing until it stopped at 512. "Run a full diagnostic on the sensors," he ordered, trying to keep his voice calm. "This has to be a malfunction." Boram's fingers flew over her keyboard. After 2 minutes that felt like hours, she looked up with wide eyes. "All systems check out, sir. The readings are real." Hyunwoo activated the station's alert system. Red lights flashed throughout Unity Base as the crew rushed to their battle stations. Within minutes, the command center was filled with his best officers, all staring at the tactical display that showed 500 unknown ships moving toward Earth. Commander So-Min Lee arrived from Earth's surface within the hour, her shuttle docking with unusual speed. As the head of military intelligence, she had access to information that made most people sleep poorly at night. When she saw the tactical display, her face went pale. "How long do we have?" she asked. "At their current speed, they'll reach Earth. Orbit in 72 hours, replied Lieutenant Commander Jae-Sung Kim, the station's tactical officer. So-Min pulled Hyunwoo aside. "I need to show you something. Classification level is above your clearance, but given the situation..." She handed him a data pad with shaking hands. The files on the pad made Hyunwoo's stomach drop. For the past 50 years, Earth's deep space monitoring stations had been picking up fragments of alien communications. The messages spoke of something called the Galactic Dominion Empire, a vast coalition of alien species that had been conquering star systems across the galaxy. 47 civilizations had fallen to them in the past decade alone. "Why wasn't this made public?" Hyunwoo asked. "Because we had no way to fight them," So-Min replied. Every species they encountered was given the same choice: surrender or be destroyed. None chose to fight. Those that tried were wiped out completely. As if summoned by their conversation, the communication array crackled to life. The voice that came through the speakers was unlike anything human ears had ever heard. It was deep and rasping, like metal scraping against stone. "Primitive species of the third planet," the voice said in perfect English. "I am Admiral Kyltos of the Galactic Dominion Empire. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our domain." Hyunwoo activated the recording system and replied, "This is Captain Hyunwoo Park of the Earth Defense Force. By what authority do you make this claim?" A sound that might have been laughter came through the speakers. "By the authority of strength, Primitive One. We have conquered 47 star systems. Your species will submit or face complete annihilation. You have 72 hours to consider our generous offer. And if we refuse, then your species will join the others who chose foolishly. Their worlds are now silent monuments to the price of defiance." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. So-Min activated her secure communication link to Earth's government. Within minutes, she was speaking directly to President Mi-young Choi in the underground command bunker beneath Seoul. "Madam President," So-Min reported, "we have confirmed hostile alien contact. 512 ships, unknown technology level, demanding surrender within 72 hours. President Choi's voice was steady despite the circumstances. "What are our defensive capabilities?" Commander Tae-jin Yoon, who had just arrived from the stealth ship Ghostwalker, answered that question. 12 frigates, 36 fighters, 4 orbital platforms including Unity Base. Our best estimate puts their fleet's total mass at 50 times our entire defensive force. The silence that followed was deafening. "There is one more thing," So-min said carefully. "We need to contact Admiral Ji-hoon Kim immediately. Code authorization Deep Blue." Hyun-woo had never heard of Code Deep Blue, but he saw recognition flash across several faces in the room. President Choi's voice took on a different tone. "Are you certain this situation warrants that level of response?" 500 alien warships, demanding our surrender," So-min replied. "I'd say that qualifies." An hour later, a communication link was established to a location somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. The man who appeared on screen looked to be in his 50s, with gray hair and calm eyes that seemed to have seen too much. Admiral Ji-hoon Kim listened without interruption as So-min briefed him on the situation. "Understood," he said simply. "Maintain normal defensive postures. Do not, under any circumstances, reveal our true capabilities. How long until they reach optimal position?" "Optimal position for what?" Hyun-woo asked. Admiral Kim smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. "For teaching them that humanity is full of surprises." The next 24 hours passed in a blur of activity. Earth's governments held emergency sessions while military forces worldwide went to high alert. The public was told that contact had been made with an alien civilization, but the full scope of the threat was kept classified to prevent panic. On Unity Base, Hyun-woo and his crew worked around the clock to prepare their meager defenses. The 12 frigates took positions around Earth's moon while the fighters prepared for what everyone knew would be a hopeless battle. During this time, strange reports began filtering in from around the world. Military personnel with the highest security clearances were being quietly recalled to special assignments. Several submarines that were supposed to be in port for maintenance had mysteriously disappeared from their docks. Most puzzling of all, the Pacific Fleet's movements were being classified at levels that even So-min couldn't access. "What exactly is Code Deep Blue?" Hyun-woo asked her during a brief break. So-min looked around to make sure they weren't being overheard. 20 years ago, after we first detected those alien communications, a special project was initiated. I don't know the details, but I know it involves Admiral Kim and something called Project Deep Strike. Deep Strike? The theory was simple. If aliens ever came to Earth, they would expect us to fight like every other species they'd encountered. They would expect conventional tactics, predictable strategies, and inferior technology. And So-min's expression was grim. "Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to surprise our enemies, to think outside the box, to do things that others consider impossible or insane." As the second day passed, the alien fleet continued its steady approach toward Earth. Long-range sensors showed that the ships were massive, some over 1 kilometer in length. Their technology was clearly far beyond anything humanity possessed, or at least anything humanity was known to possess. President Choi addressed the world on the evening of the second day. She spoke of humanity's courage in the face of adversity, of the spirit that had taken humans from caves to the stars in just a few thousand years. She didn't mention surrender, but she also didn't speak of victory. What she did say was more interesting to those who knew how to listen. Throughout history, humanity's greatest triumphs have come not from superior strength, but from our ability to adapt, to innovate, and to strike where our enemies least expect it. Tomorrow may bring challenges we have never faced, but I have faith that the human spirit will find a way to prevail. That night, as Hyun-woo tried to sleep in his quarters aboard Unity Base, he received a message on his personal communication device. It was from Admiral Kim. "Captain Park, tomorrow you will witness something that will change your understanding of humanity's place in the universe. When the moment comes, trust in your training, trust in your crew, and trust that Earth has more surprises than our enemies can imagine. The deep waters hold secrets that will soon rise to the surface." Hyun-woo read the message 3 times before deleting it. Deep waters. Rising to the surface. What did that mean? He spent the rest of the night staring out at Earth's oceans, wondering what secrets lay hidden beneath the waves. On the morning of the 3rd day, Admiral Kael'tos transmitted his final ultimatum. "Humans of Earth, your time has expired. We detect no movement toward surrender, no preparation for our arrival. This is unfortunate but not unexpected. We will now demonstrate why resistance is futile. The alien fleet began moving into attack formation, their massive ships arranging themselves in a pattern that would allow them to devastate Earth's entire surface within minutes. Long-range scanners showed energy building in weapon systems that could crack a planet's crust. "They're going to destroy the moon first," reported Jae-sung Kim, probably as a demonstration. Hyunwoo activated the general communication system. "All ships, all stations, prepare for combat. We may not be able to win this fight, but we're going to show The hours following Admiral Kael'tos' ultimatum were filled with carefully orchestrated chaos. President Mi-young Choi appeared on every major communication channel, her face showing the perfect mixture of fear and desperate hope that the alien commanders expected to see from a defeated species. "People of Earth," she said, her voice trembling just enough to sound genuine, "we face a threat beyond our comprehension. I have authorized our diplomatic corps to open immediate negotiations with the Galactic Dominion Empire. We must explore every possible path to peace." What the aliens didn't know was that every word of her speech had been carefully crafted by a team of psychologists who had spent decades studying alien communication patterns intercepted from deep space. They knew exactly what the Empire expected: to hear from a conquered species, and they were giving it to them. In the command center of Unity Base, Captain Hyunwoo Park watched the alien fleet's response to the diplomatic overture. Long-range sensors showed several of the larger ships moving into what appeared to be a more relaxed formation. "They're buying it," reported Ensign Boram Seo. "Energy readings from their weapon systems are decreasing." Commander So-min Lee nodded, grimly. "Of course they are. They've done this 47 times before. They know exactly how this is supposed to go." But while the public face of humanity appeared to be crumbling, a very different kind of activity was taking place in the shadows. Captain Taejin Yoon, commander of the stealth reconnaissance ship Ghostwalker, was currently drifting silently through the outer edges of the alien fleet, his ship's experimental cloaking system rendering it invisible to their sensors. The Ghost Walker was one of humanity's best-kept secrets, built using technology that had been developed in complete isolation from the rest of Earth's military. Its hull was coated with materials that absorbed sensor waves instead of reflecting them, and its engines produced no electromagnetic signature that alien sensors could detect. Taejin moved carefully through the massive formation of enemy ships, his crew gathering intelligence that would prove invaluable in the hours to come. What they discovered was both encouraging and terrifying. "Their ships are huge," reported Lieutenant Hana Shin, the Ghostwalker's sensor specialist. "The smallest ones are twice the size of our largest frigates. But look at this formation pattern." She highlighted the tactical display, showing how the alien ships were arranged. "They're following a textbook battle formation, exactly what you'd expect from a superior force facing inferior opposition. No surprises, no creative positioning. Just overwhelming firepower arranged in the most efficient pattern possible." Taejin studied the display carefully. "They've been winning through technological superiority for so long that they've forgotten how to be creative. They don't know how to fight an enemy that might actually surprise them." This information was immediately transmitted to a secure facility deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, where Admiral Ji-hoon Kim was overseeing final preparations for humanity's most ambitious military operation in history. The facility itself was a marvel of engineering that had taken 15 years to build. Located on the ocean floor 5 kilometers below the surface, it was completely invisible to any surface detection systems. More importantly, it was home to the Leviathan, a ship that would redefine humanity's understanding of what was possible. Dr. Eun Ji-han, the lead scientist of Project Deep Strike, stood before a massive viewing window that looked out into the construction bay where the Leviathan waited. At 3 kilometers in length, it was by far the largest ship humanity had ever built, but size wasn't its most impressive feature. "Final systems check complete," she reported to Admiral Kim. "Quantum torpedo tubes loaded and ready, adaptive plasma shields at full charge, AI combat systems online and running predictive scenarios." The Leviathan represented 20 years of secret research and development. While the rest of humanity had been building conventional warships with conventional weapons, a select group of scientists and engineers had been developing something completely different. They had taken human creativity and applied it to alien technology salvaged from crashes and derelicts found throughout the solar system. The result was a ship that didn't just surpass alien technology, it represented an entirely different approach to warfare. Where alien weapons relied on brute force, human weapons relied on unpredictability. Where alien ships followed rigid tactical doctrines, the Leviathan was designed to do things that no sane military engineer would consider possible. Lieutenant Colonel Dong-hyun Oh was briefing the pilots who would soon fly missions that would be remembered for centuries. 200 of Earth's best pilots had been secretly trained for this moment, learning to fly fighters that used principles of quantum mechanics that the Empire had never encountered. Your fighters don't just move through space, he explained to the assembled pilots. They can phase in and out of normal reality for brief periods. This makes you invisible to most sensors and allows you to pass through solid matter, including enemy ships' hulls. Pilot Major Soo-jin Ko raised her hand. Sir, what are the risks of quantum phasing? If you stay phased for more than 30 seconds, at a time there's a chance you won't be able to phase back into normal reality. Dong-hyun replied honestly. We've lost 3 test pilots that way, but the tactical advantage is enormous. You can appear inside an enemy ship's shield envelope and fire at point-blank range before phasing out again. While these preparations continued in secret, the public diplomacy played out exactly as planned. Ambassador Wook-jin Lee, Earth's most experienced negotiator, transmitted carefully worded messages to the alien fleet requesting terms for surrender. The alien response was predictably arrogant. Admiral Keltos agreed to hear Earth's surrender terms but made it clear that humanity would be given no choice in the matter. Earth would become another subject world of the Empire, its resources harvested and its people used as the Empire saw fit. Your species shows promise, Keltos transmitted. With proper guidance, humans could become useful servants of the Empire. Resist, and you will join the silent worlds that chose defiance over wisdom. These negotiations served a crucial purpose beyond buying time. Every transmission from the alien fleet was analyzed by Earth's best cryptographers and communication specialists. They were learning the Empire's communication protocols, understanding their command structure, and most importantly, mapping their sensor networks. Commander Young-soo Lim, the Leviathan's chief engineer, used this intelligence to make final adjustments to the ship's stealth systems. The aliens were looking for ships that moved and fought like the ships they had encountered before. They would never expect something that could appear and disappear at will, that could strike from impossible angles, and that used weapons based on principles they had never seen. As the second day of negotiations drew to a close, reports began filtering in from around the world that few people were cleared to hear. Submarine crews who had been reassigned to classified projects were reporting strange experiences. They spoke of being taken to underwater facilities they had never heard of ships that defied everything they knew about naval engineering, of weapons that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Captain Hyun-woo Park received one such report from an old friend, Commander Bin-ho Park, who commanded the submarine Thunder Dragon. Hyun-woo. The message read, I can't tell you where I am, or what I'm doing, but I wanted you to know that Earth has more surprises than anyone imagines. When the shooting starts, don't trust your eyes. Things are going to happen that will seem impossible, but trust me, they're very real. That evening, as the alien fleet continued its steady approach toward Earth, Admiral Kim held a final briefing for his senior staff aboard the Leviathan. The massive ship remained hidden beneath the Pacific, its presence unknown to anyone outside of Project Deep Strike. In 18 hours, the Empire will begin their attack, he announced. They'll start by demonstrating their power, probably by destroying Earth's moon. This will be our signal to surface and engage. Captain Soo-young Jang, the ship's tactical commander, reviewed the battle plan one final time. We'll have complete surprise for approximately 10 minutes. After that, they'll adapt and bring their full firepower to bear. Can we disable enough of their ships in that time? Dr. Yoon Ji-han answered with confidence. Our quantum torpedoes are invisible to their sensors until impact. Each torpedo can disable a ship up to destroyer class. We have enough firepower to cripple half their fleet before they even know we're here. But Admiral Kim knew that firepower alone wouldn't win this battle. The Empire had faced technologically advanced enemies before and defeated them through sheer numbers. Humanity's advantage lay not in superior weapons but in superior thinking. Remember, he told his officers, we're not just fighting ships, we're fighting a mindset. They expect us to be afraid, to be predictable, to fight like every other species they've conquered. When we don't, when we do things they consider impossible or insane, that's when we'll truly have the advantage. As night fell over Earth, the final preparations were completed. The Leviathan's crew ran through their stations one last time, checking systems that no human had ever used in combat. Quantum fighters were armed with weapons that existed in a state of probability, rather. Admiral Keltos stood on the command bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching the third planet's moon through the massive viewing screen. The small satellite would serve as the perfect demonstration of the Empire's power. One focused beam from his ship's primary weapon would crack it in half, sending a clear message to the humans below about the futility of resistance. All ships report ready for demonstration bombardment, announced his tactical officer, a insectoid Zephyrian with compound eyes that could track dozens of targets simultaneously. Excellent, Keltos replied, his reptilian features forming what might have been a smile. Begin charging the primary batteries. We'll give these humans a show they'll never forget. Across the vast alien fleet, massive weapons began drawing power from reactors that could fuel entire star systems. The demonstration would be quick and devastating, exactly what 47 other species had witnessed before accepting the inevitable. 5 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Ji-hoon Kim felt the slight vibration as the Leviathan's massive engines came online for the first time in 20 years. Around him, his crew moved with the precision of professionals who had trained for this moment their entire careers. Surface sequence initiated, reported Captain Su-young Jang. All departments report ready for combat operations. The Leviathan began its slow ascent from the ocean floor, rising through the darkness like some ancient sea monster awakening from a long sleep. At 3 kilometers in length and 1 kilometer at its widest point, it was by far the largest object ever to move through Earth's oceans. Dr. Yoon Ji-han monitored the ship's experimental systems from her position at the science station. Quantum field generators stable, adaptive plasma shields charging. AI combat systems have identified 437 priority targets. Excellent, Admiral Kim replied. Contact Unity Base. It's time to let Captain Park know what's really happening here. On Unity Base, Captain Hyun-woo Park was watching his tactical display with growing dread. The alien fleet had arranged itself in perfect bombardment formation, their weapons building to power levels that could shatter continents. Earth's pitiful defensive fleet looked like toys floating around a pack of sharks. His communication console chimed with an incoming transmission on a frequency he didn't recognize. Admiral Kim's face appeared on the screen, but the background showed what looked like the bridge of a ship unlike anything Hyun-woo had ever seen. Captain Park, Admiral Kim said calmly. In approximately 90 seconds, you're going to see something that will challenge everything you think you know about humanity's capabilities. I need you to keep your ships exactly where they are and do not, under any circumstances, interfere with what happens next. Sir, what's going on? What ship are you on? Admiral Kim's expression was grim but determined. The ship that's going to save humanity. Watch and learn, Captain. The transmission ended just as every sensor on Unity Base registered something impossible. Massive energy readings were coming from the Pacific Ocean, building toward levels that made the alien weapons look insignificant by comparison. Sir, Ensign Bo-ram Seo called out, her voice filled with disbelief. I'm reading a massive object rising from the ocean floor. It's huge. On the main display, they watched as something broke the surface of the Pacific Ocean. At first, it looked like a small island emerging from the depths. Then they realized the scale of what they were seeing. By all the gods, whispered Commander Jae-sung Kim. That's a ship. The Leviathan breached the surface like a whale coming up for air. Except this whale was 3 kilometers long and bristling with weapons that defied conventional design. Water cascaded from its hull as it continued to rise, eventually hovering 50 meters above the ocean's surface on engines that produced no visible exhaust. Admiral Keltos was in the middle of issuing firing orders when his sensor officer interrupted with a report that made no sense. "Sir, we're detecting a massive energy signature from the planet's surface. It appears to be a ship of some kind." Keltos turned to his tactical display. The readings showed a vessel roughly half the size of his own flagship, which should have been impossible for a primitive species like humanity. "Enhance sensors," he ordered. "Let's see what these humans think they can accomplish with one ship." What appeared on his screen made him pause. The human vessel was unlike anything in the Empire's databases. Its hull seemed to shift and flow, like liquid metal, and the weapons arrays defied every principle of engineering he knew. Most disturbing of all, his sensors couldn't get a solid lock on it. The ship seemed to exist in a state of constant flux. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the vessel is launching smaller craft. Over 200 of them." Aboard the Leviathan, Lieutenant Colonel Dong Hyun-oh watched his pilots launch from the ship's quantum fighter bays. These weren't ordinary launch procedures. The fighters seemed to simply appear in space without actually exiting the ship through any visible opening. "Quantum Squadron Alpha, you are cleared for attack pattern Delta," he transmitted. "Remember, 30-second phasing limit. Strike hard and phase out before they can target you." Major Sujin Ko led the first wave of quantum fighters toward the alien fleet. Her fighter existed in a strange state between dimensions, allowing her to move through space in ways that violated every law of physics the Empire knew. "Alpha leader to all fighters," she transmitted. "Beginning attack run on enemy capital ships. Stay phased until we're inside their shield perimeter." The alien fleet's sensors detected the approaching fighters, but couldn't understand what they were seeing. The small craft appeared to flicker in and out of existence, their positions constantly shifting in impossible ways. Admiral Keltos watched the tactical display with growing confusion. "What are those things? Our sensors can barely track them." Before his tactical officer could answer, the first wave of quantum torpedoes struck his outer perimeter ships. The weapons appeared from nowhere, phasing through shields and armor before materializing inside the ship's hulls and detonating. 3 destroyers and a heavy cruiser disappeared in brilliant explosions within the span of 10 seconds. "How is this possible?" Keltos demanded. "Their weapons passed through our shields." Captain Su Young Jang coordinated the Leviathan's attack from her tactical station. The ship's AI had spent years analyzing alien technology recovered from deep space crashes, learning their weaknesses and blind spots. "Target their command ships first," she ordered. "Quantum torpedoes 1 through 12. Fire when ready." The torpedoes launched from the Leviathan appeared as brief distortions in space before vanishing completely. They reappeared inside the hulls of 12 alien capital ships, their quantum warheads destabilizing the molecular structure of everything within a 50-meter radius. In less than 30 seconds, the Empire's vanguard had lost over 20 ships to weapons they couldn't see coming and couldn't defend against. Wing Commander Haewon Nam led her squadron in a close attack on the alien flagship. Her fighters phased directly through the ship's hull, appearing in the engineering sections where they could target critical systems. "Dragon Squadron, target their power distribution nodes," she transmitted. "Let's see how well they fight with half their systems offline." The quantum fighters fired their weapons from inside the alien ship, their energy beams designed to disrupt alien technology at the molecular level. Lights flickered throughout the Eternal Dominion as power systems failed across multiple decks. Admiral Keltos felt his ship shudder as internal explosions rocked the engineering sections. "Report, what's happening down there?" "Unknown, sir. Our internal sensors are detecting weapons fire inside the ship, but that's impossible. No enemy craft have penetrated our hull." But even as the alien admiral struggled to understand what was happening, the Leviathan revealed its most devastating capability. The ship simply vanished from its position above the Pacific Ocean and reappeared directly behind the Empire's main battle line. The quantum displacement drive was humanity's greatest technological achievement. By briefly shifting the ship into a parallel dimension, it could travel instantaneously across vast distances without crossing the space in between. Commander Young-Soo Lim monitored the displacement systems from his engineering station. Jump complete. All systems nominal. We are now in optimal firing position for full torpedo spread. Admiral Kim studied the tactical display. The alien fleet was in complete disarray, their formations broken as ships tried to respond to attacks coming from impossible angles. It was time to press the advantage. All torpedo tubes rapid fire, he ordered. Target their heavy cruisers and battleships. Let's see how many we can disable before they regroup. The Leviathan unleashed its full firepower, quantum torpedoes, streaming from dozens of launch tubes. Each torpedo followed a different path through dimensional space, appearing inside alien ships at random locations. Within minutes, half of the Empire's heavy ships were drifting helplessly, their primary systems destroyed from within. On Unity Base, Captain Hyunwoo Park watched the battle unfold with a mixture of awe and disbelief. The alien fleet that had seemed invincible minutes earlier was being systematically destroyed by weapons that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. Sir, Ensign Boram Seo reported, the alien fleet is trying to whir. Admiral Kael'tos stood among the ruins of his command bridge, watching sparks fly from damaged control panels as his crew struggled to restore basic life support. The Eternal Dominion, flagship of the Galactic Dominion Empire, had been reduced to a crippled wreck in less than an hour by an enemy that shouldn't have existed. Report, he ordered his surviving tactical officer, trying to maintain some semblance of command authority. Sir, we have 43 ships remaining operational out of 512. Most are severely damaged. Primary weapons offline. Across the fleet, hyperspace drives are non-functional due to some kind of dimensional interference. Kael'tos felt something he had never experienced in his long military career. Genuine fear. The Empire had conquered 47 star systems using overwhelming technological superiority and predictable tactics. Every species they encountered fought in conventional ways, using conventional weapons, following conventional strategies. Even the most advanced civilizations fell within days. But these humans were different. They fought like no species in the galaxy had ever fought before. Sir, his communication officer called out, "We're receiving a transmission from the human vessel." The main screen flickered to life, showing a human in military uniform. Admiral Ji-hoon Kim looked directly at Kael'tos with calm, steady eyes that showed no trace of mercy. "Admiral Kael'tos," Kim said in perfect galactic standard, "I am Admiral Ji-hoon Kim of the Earth Defense Force. You came here expecting to find a primitive species that would surrender without a fight. Instead, you found something your empire has never encountered before." "What do you want, human?" Kael'tos snarled. "I want you to deliver a message to your empire. Humanity will not be conquered. Any fleet sent against Earth will be destroyed. But more importantly, we offer freedom to any species currently enslaved by your dominion." Before Kael'tos could respond, his sensor officer made a report that sent chills through every alien on the bridge. "Sir, the human ship has vanished again. We can't track it on any sensors." 5,000 kilometers away, the Leviathan materialized behind a group of fleeing Empire destroyers. Admiral Kim had no intention of letting any alien ship escape to warn the Dominion of humanity's true capabilities. At least not yet. "Captain Jang," he ordered, "disable their engines, but leave their communication systems intact. We'll need some of them to carry our message." Captain Su Young Jang coordinated the attack with surgical precision. Quantum torpedoes phased through the destroyers' hulls, targeting only their propulsion systems. Within minutes, 3 more alien ships were drifting helplessly in space. Wing Commander Haewon Nam led her fighter squadron in a pursuit of the remaining alien scouts. These smaller ships were fast and maneuverable, but they were still bound by conventional physics, while her quantum fighters could phase in and out of normal space at will. "Gold leader to all fighters," she transmitted. "Begin herding pattern Delta. Drive them toward the asteroid belt. Let's see how well they maneuver through solid rock." Her fighters moved like ghosts through space, appearing just long enough to fire disabling shots before vanishing again. The alien scouts found themselves surrounded by enemies they couldn't see coming, their pilots growing increasingly desperate as their formation fell apart. Meanwhile, Dr. Yoon-ji Han was conducting a very different kind of operation aboard the Leviathan. Using the ship's advanced sensors, she was scanning the disabled alien vessels and discovering technology that would revolutionize human science. "Admiral," she reported, "I'm reading power systems that operate on principles we've never seen before. Their energy conversion efficiency is incredible, but the design philosophy is completely rigid. There's no room for adaptation or creative modification." This was a crucial insight. The Empire's technology was powerful but inflexible, designed by species that valued predictability and standardization over innovation. Humanity's greatest advantage wasn't just their new weapons, it was their ability to think outside established patterns. Commander Young-Soo Lim was putting this principle into practice as he modified the Leviathan systems in real time. Using quantum processors that could adapt their programming based on battlefield conditions, he was creating new tactical options that hadn't existed an hour earlier. "I'm rerouting power from the secondary shield generators to create additional quantum torpedo tubes," he reported. "We can increase our rate of fire by 40%, but only for short bursts." "Do it," Admiral Kim ordered. "We need to end this quickly before they adapt to our tactics." But even as the human forces systematically hunted down the remaining alien ships, something unexpected was happening aboard the disabled vessels. Captain Jin-Ho An, commanding a boarding party from one of Earth's modified frigates, was making contact with alien prisoners who were not what they seemed. "Admiral," he transmitted from the captured destroyer Void Striker, "you need to see this. We've found aliens aboard this ship who claim they're not part of the Empire willingly." The discovery was shocking. Among the crew of the alien ship were representatives of 3 different species who had been conscripted into the Empire's service after their worlds were conquered. They had been fighting for their oppressors, but their loyalty was not freely given. One of them, a tall humanoid with blue-tinted skin and large eyes, spoke to Jin-Ho through a translation device. "My name is Kalis. My people, the Althari, were conquered by the Empire 50 years ago. We were given a choice: serve in their fleet or watch our homeworld burn." This information was immediately transmitted to Admiral Kim, who realized its significance. The Empire wasn't just a military force, it was a coalition held together by fear and intimidation. If that fear could be broken, the entire structure might collapse. "Captain An," he ordered, "treat those aliens as refugees, not prisoners. We may have found our first allies in this war." As the battle continued, the quantum fighters were discovering new capabilities of their experimental technology. Major Soo-Jin Ko found that by carefully timing her phase transitions, she could appear inside an enemy ship's shield envelope and fire at point-blank range before the shields could adapt. "Dragon Squadron," she transmitted, "I'm uploading new tactical data. We can phase directly through their shield matrices if we time it right. Let's test this on the remaining battlecruiser." Her fighters vanished from normal space and reappeared inside the battlecruiser's defensive perimeter. Their quantum weapons, fired from such close range, overwhelmed the alien ship's defenses within seconds. Another Empire vessel went dark, its crew evacuating in escape pods. Admiral Keltos watched his fleet disappear ship by ship, hunted by an enemy that could strike from anywhere and vanish before his forces could respond. The humans weren't just technologically superior, they were fighting with a level of creativity and unpredictability that the Empire had never encountered. "All remaining ships," he transmitted, "converge on my position. If we're going to die, here we'll take as many humans with us as possible." But Admiral Kim had anticipated this desperate move. As the surviving alien ships gathered around their flagship, the Leviathan appeared directly in their midst, having displaced through quantum space to emerge at the center of their formation. "Full spread, all tubes," he ordered. "End this." The massive human ship unleashed its entire arsenal at point-blank range. Quantum torpedoes materialized inside every alien vessel simultaneously, their warheads designed to disable rather than destroy. Within 30 seconds, the entire remnant of the Empire fleet was powerless and adrift. But Kim wasn't finished. He opened a communication channel to every ship in the system, including those still capable of receiving transmissions. "Attention all Empire forces. he announced. You came here expecting to conquer another primitive species. Instead, you've encountered something your empire has never faced, a civilization that refuses to accept defeat. Your technology is impressive, but it's built on rigid thinking and predictable strategies. Humanity's strength comes from our ability to adapt, to innovate, and to do things that others consider impossible. He paused, letting his words sink in before continuing. I'm going to let some of you return to your empire with a message. Tell them that Earth is under human protection now. Tell them that any species seeking freedom from the Dominion will find allies here, and tell them that if they send another fleet against us, we'll be ready with surprises they can't imagine. Dr. Yoonji Han was already working on those surprises. Using technology captured from the alien ships, she was designing improvements to human weapons that would make them even more unpredictable. Quantum torpedoes that could phase through multiple dimensions, fighters that could exist in several locations simultaneously, defensive systems that adapted in real time to any threat. The aliens build their technology like monuments, she explained to Admiral Kim. Impressive, powerful, but static. Human technology grows and evolves. Every battle teaches us something new, and we adapt our tools accordingly. As the last alien resistance was neutralized, Captain Tae Jin-yoon aboard the Ghostwalker was already preparing for the next phase of operations. His stealth ship had captured detailed scans of every alien vessel, providing intelligence that would be invaluable in future encounters. Admiral, he transmitted, I've identified 17 different ship classes in there. 3 days after the battle, the space around Earth looked like a graveyard of impossible dreams. Debris from 500 alien warships drifted in silent orbit, testimony to the Empire's first major defeat in over 1,000 years. But among the wreckage, something unprecedented was happening. Former enemies were becoming allies. Captain Jin Ho-an stood on the bridge of the captured Empire flagship Eternal Dominion, now rechristened Freedom's Dawn, watching human and alien engineers work side by side to repair the massive vessel. The ship's original captain, Admiral Kael'tos, sat in the conference room below, no longer a prisoner but not quite an ally either. This is unprecedented, Kael'tos said as Jin-ho entered the room. In my 40 years of service to the Empire, I have never seen a conquered enemy treated with such consideration. Jin-ho pulled up a chair across from the alien admiral. The reptilian features that had seemed so menacing during the battle now showed something that looked almost like confusion. That's because we're not conquerors, Jin-ho replied. Humanity learned long ago that the strongest empires are built on cooperation, not fear. Through the viewport they could see the Leviathan slowly rising from the Pacific Ocean once again. The massive ship had become a symbol of hope for the alien refugees they had rescued from the Empire fleet. Representatives from 6 different species were now aboard the human Supercarrier, sharing information about their homeworlds and the Empire's methods of control. Dr. Yoonji Han was in her element, surrounded by alien technology that challenged everything humanity thought they knew about physics. Her laboratory aboard the Leviathan had become a meeting ground between human creativity and alien engineering. Look at this, she said to her research team, pointing to a holographic display showing the Empire's power generation systems. They've achieved incredible efficiency, but only by following one specific design pattern. They never considered that there might be other ways to accomplish the same goal. Beside her, Kalis of the Althari people studied the human quantum drive systems with equal fascination. Your technology violates every principle we were taught about dimensional physics. How is this possible? Because we never learned those principles, Dr. Han replied with a smile. Sometimes ignorance can be an advantage. We developed our technology by asking, what if? Instead of accepting, that's impossible. This exchange was taking place throughout the captured fleet. Human scientists and engineers were learning from alien knowledge while simultaneously teaching the aliens to think in new ways. The result was a burst of innovation that promised to revolutionize both civilizations. President Mi-young Choi stood before a joint session of Earth's government, but her audience extended far beyond the assembly hall. Through captured empire, communication networks, Her speech was being broadcast to star systems throughout the galaxy. People of Earth and peoples of the galaxy, she began. 3 days ago, humanity faced a choice between surrender and extinction. We chose a third option, defiance. But our victory was not won through superior firepower alone. It was won through the power of hope, creativity, and the refusal to accept that conquest is inevitable. She paused, looking directly into the camera that was transmitting her words across light years of space. To the Galactic Dominion Empire, I say this: your reign of terror is ending. To the countless species you have enslaved, I offer this. Earth stands ready to help you reclaim your freedom. To any who believe that might makes right, I warn you. Humanity has allies now, and together we will build something the galaxy has never seen before. Admiral Ji-Hoon Kim watched the speech from his command center aboard the Leviathan, but his attention was focused on the intelligence reports flooding in from across the galaxy. The news of Earth's victory was spreading faster than the Empire could suppress it, and the reaction was explosive. Commander So-Min Lee, now serving as Earth's Director of Galactic Intelligence, briefed him on the latest developments. Admiral, we're receiving communications from 17 different star systems. Resistance movements that have been hiding for decades are coming out of the shadows. The Empire's authority is being challenged from within. Show me, Kim ordered. The main display lit up with a map of known space showing the Empire's territory in red. But now there were flashes of green appearing throughout the red zones, worlds where local populations were rising up against their oppressors. Here, So-Min pointed to a system near the galaxy's core. The Veltar homeworld. They've managed to disable the Empire garrison and declare independence. Here, the mining colonies of Zarian Prime have seized their orbital stations. And here, an entire Empire battle group has defected to join a coalition of rebel worlds. Admiral Kim studied the patterns emerging across the galaxy. They're not just rebelling randomly. Someone is coordinating these uprisings. That's the most interesting part, So-Min replied. The coordinators are former Empire officers, aliens who served the Dominion but never forgot where they came from. Our victory proved that the Empire can be beaten, and that's all the encouragement they needed. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, the Empire's leadership was facing the first genuine crisis in their 1,000-year history. High Admiral Vexron, Supreme Commander of all Empire forces, stood before the Council of Dominance in their capital city on the planet, Nexus Prime. Explain to me, said Councillor Zarthek, how 500 ships of the line were defeated by a single primitive world. Vexron had been dreading this question. The humans possess technology unlike anything in our databases. Their weapons phase through solid matter. Their ships can appear and disappear at will, and their tactics are completely unpredictable. Impossible, declared Councillor Mortis. We have conquered 47 civilizations. We know every form of warfare, every type of weapon, every strategic doctrine in the galaxy. Respectfully, Councillor, Vexron replied. That's exactly the problem. We know how every civilized species fights because they all learned warfare from us or from species we conquered. The humans developed their military technology in complete isolation. They think differently than we do. Back on Earth, that different thinking was already producing results that would reshape the balance of galactic power. Wing Commander Hai Wan Nam was training a mixed squadron of human and alien pilots in quantum fighter tactics. The aliens brought experience and technical knowledge, while the humans contributed creativity and adaptability. The key, she explained to her mixed class of pilots, is to think of your fighter not as a vehicle, but as a tool for expressing your will in three-dimensional space. Don't just fly, dance through space in ways that make no sense to anyone watching. Lieutenant Kasara, a former Empire pilot from the avian skyborn species, raised a wing hand. Commander, these tactics violate every principle of formation flying we've ever learned. Exactly, Haywan replied. Formation flying is predictable. Predictable tactics get you killed against an enemy with superior firepower. But if you're unpredictable enough, firepower becomes irrelevant, because they can't hit what they can't anticipate. The lesson was being applied on a much larger scale. Commander Young-Soo Lim was working with alien engineers to develop new classes of warships that combined Empire technology with human design philosophy. The results were vessels that no military doctrine in the galaxy was prepared to face. "We're not building ships," he explained to his mixed engineering team. "We're building questions that enemy commanders will spend their last moments trying to answer." As the weeks passed, the impact of Earth's victory continued to ripple across the galaxy. Captain Taejin Yoon, now commanding a small fleet of modified stealth ships, was conducting reconnaissance missions deep in Empire territory. What he found confirmed humanity's best hopes and the Empire's worst fears. "Admiral," he transmitted from the border world of Kalian 7, "the Empire's response. Time to rebellions has slowed to a crawl. They're pulling ships from frontier garrisons to reinforce core worlds. Their entire strategic doctrine is falling apart." "Explain," Admiral Kim replied. "They're used to dealing with one rebellion at a time, using overwhelming force to crush resistance before it can spread. But now they have dozens of simultaneous uprisings across hundreds of light years. They don't have enough ships to maintain their traditional tactics." This was exactly what Admiral Kim had hoped for. The Empire's strength came from their ability to project power across vast distances through predictable, overwhelming responses. Take away their ability to concentrate their forces, and their technological advantages became meaningless. Dr. Eun-ji Han was making discoveries that would ensure humanity's technological edge remained decisive. Working with scientists from 7 different species, she was developing weapons and defensive systems that incorporated the best elements from multiple civilizations, while maintaining the unpredictability that made human technology so effective. "Look at this," she said, showing Admiral Kim her latest creation. "By combining Althari quantum field theory with Veltar energy conversion principles and human adaptive programming, we've created a weapon that literally learns from each battle and becomes more effective against the specific enemy it's fighting. How long until we can begin production? The first prototypes will be ready for testing next week. Full